enjoyed such great support with this that it's a pretty long list. So I would just say thanks to everybody, deepest gratitude for that, and of course our sincere thanks at getting this over the finish line. But really, the passage of this policy marks a major moment, I would argue, for how we view and treat space in America. By making spaceport bonds tax exempt, spaceports are finally and officially on equal footing with airports, seaports, and other modes of transportation. And this isn't just about crafting smart policy. It aligns with the future of industry. It's about changing how we finance the future, how we finance the development of spaceport infrastructure. It's also about unlocking long-term investment tools for states and communities without federal funding. So to be clear, making spaceport bonds tax exempt isn't about any specific group. It's about equipping states and communities with the tools, proven tools, to build infrastructure that supports our nation. Our goal has always been to reduce barriers for spaceport finance and infrastructure, period, dot, end of story. But just as we fund the development of airports and seaports that serve both public and private users, spaceports and are shared assets that support national security, commercial activity, exploration, innovation, and of course workforce development. Spaceports are the trade ports of the 21st century, critical gateways that will enable the full breadth of commercial activity for the next domain of commerce. We are fortunate to enjoy being here today at the world's busiest spaceport, and this new policy gives us a powerful tool to remain the busiest. But it should not also enable a new wave of investment in communities across the state and across the country, wherever interested parties are ready to develop space transportation infrastructure. Access to tax-exempt bonds can reduce the cost of critical spaceport infrastructure so that organizations like Space Florida, along with our partners across the state, can meet the demands of industry sooner rather than later. And such investment ensures that the U.S. can compete and win against competitors like China, which are aggressively pursuing spaceport and space infrastructure expansion with state-funded national assets. While we celebrate this tremendous milestone, we must now concentrate on what comes next. And as we look toward implementation, we urge our spaceport partners, states across America, financial institutions, and investors to take full advantage of this new financial tool. Now is the time to invest in our future. I predict we'll look back on this change as a cornerstone of the next century of American leadership in space. And we're thrilled to be a part of it. So, it is with great pleasure that I get to introduce the leader who laid this cornerstone, Senator Ashley Moody.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It is great to see so many friends and great to be back in the great free state of Florida. Washington is certainly a different place, and so anytime I can come home and spend time with some great people and familiar faces, it is a welcome thing for me these days. As you know, I went to Washington, having been the Attorney General of the state, with a particular brand of persistence, shall we say, honed from a life of experience identifying problems, bringing new ideas, thinking outside the box, and, being incredibly annoying to those who could help me get things done and deliver results. And Washington certainly is seeing that personality trait of mine and has for the last 6 months, and we're already delivering wins, not just for America and this nation, but for the great state of Florida. And I want all of you in this room know, many of you are from this area, many of you have been involved in the space frontier and innovation and culture for a long time, but most Floridians don't know how important the Space Coast and the Kennedy Space Center and Space Florida, that this location is not only to our state, where it generates billions in economic impact for our state, but to the nation and to the world. So for Floridians who do not know, the Kennedy Space Center and Florida's Space Coast generates 36% of the world's launches. So not just the nation, the world in launches. We launch more here out of this area than all of the other spaceports in the United States combined. And so it should have surprised no one that when I learned that NASA headquarters building in Washington was sitting empty and was only occupied by 15%, that we said, well, where is a better location for the United States NASA headquarters than right here on Florida's Space Coast? Because this is where the action is happening. This is where not only you have the military assets, but you have so many from the private sector that have come to create this incredible synergy where we're seeing such progress and innovation and our accomplishments in space. And so we're working on that. I'm proud to say I have already enlisted the help of Representative Donald, and we've already met with the Chief of Staff of NASA and pushing our case in that regard. But today is about our recent win, which we just announced and achieved last week, and that is to achieve tax-exempt status for bonds that are issued for spaceports. Now, this will apply to all spaceports, but we know that this one is the busiest and the most important, and we already, after we got this passed, we have already heard from private business entities that want to get in, that want to help, that want to be a part of the growth right here at on the Space Coast. So I was just excited to get here as fast as I can. I got back into the state last night, and this is my first stop to not only celebrate, but to remind Floridians of how important this gem is to our state. It supports hundreds of thousands of jobs, over 100,000 jobs, and billions in economic impact. So this is a win not just for Florida's Space Coast, but I believe it is a win for our nation. We are in a space race. It is a new kind of space race, different than what we saw decades ago, which we won. But it is a new kind of space race, which we will win again. We are the leader in space innovation, and Florida is a big driver of that. So I want to make sure, as your newest senator, as one of the newest senators, by the way, I'm the 99. Out of 100, I am 99. The senator from Ohio, who came in with me, that took over for Vice President Vance, we got sworn in at the exact same time, and I told him, if you don't know this, I am very competitive, and I'm going to beat you in seniority, and I did. So the first win for Florida is I am 99 and not 100. But this is just as important. And so it's incredibly important that we, as Floridians, continue to fight, not just for our nation's sake, that we do not let China or Russia overtake us in developing our abilities, capabilities, innovation in space, but that Florida remains a leader in that. And this legislation that got passed and provides for the resources and the economic viability of our Space Coast will allow us to remain the leader in space right here in Florida and supercharge our efforts. So I'm so excited. I've been able now as a United States Senator to see firsthand how we are making bold innovations in space. And I'm just incredibly proud, not only that my colleagues stepped up and agreed and passed this as part of a larger legislative package, but that we were able to bring this home and drive a modern space economy for the future. And just as our railroads and our airports and our seaports allowed America to flourish in the past, this legislation is going to allow us to flourish in the future. And so all of us up here cannot be more excited to be a part of it. And we know so many stakeholders are here that will benefit from this, and we were glad to get this done. So this will mean that America continue to lead and dominate in the commercial space frontier for decades to come. It means that we will continue to think big and move fast and give our spaceports the resources they need to truly compete, not only with those nations that we know have those capabilities right now, but those that may in the very near future. And so whether it's satellite launches, national defense payloads, or breakthrough commercial missions, space is no longer the future. It is right now, and we're making sure that we're going to lead it. So thank you so much to everyone that helped get this across the finish line, not only all the stakeholders in the room that provided the necessary information. I want to thank personally my incredible staff that worked very hard to get this across the finish line. We shot for the stars, and we delivered it, and we're glad to make that announcement right here on Florida's Space Coast. So thank you so much, and without further ado, we'll bring up President Butler.
And just want to say on my behalf and other universities, Senator, you may be number 99, but to get something going so fast is pretty impressive and something that impacts all of us. So thank you for how hard you're working in the world of space. You know, as she said, it was Florida Space Coast where the United States entered the space race and won it, quite frankly, right here. And also, as the Senator said, you know, we're leading today. We're leading America. Florida is driving it. And what we're talking about today in terms of this bill is going to allow us to move into the future as well. A part of that future is what was described earlier, but also the workforce, the people who are going to have to be there. A lot of us will be retired and on to other things at that time. But the state of Florida is blessed with a number of incredible universities with thousands and thousands of young people who want to be in this business. And it's represented by Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, University of Central Florida. You can go on and name all of the great universities in this state. And we're building the talent that's going to help drive what's out there. And so those pieces combined, along with this legislation, is going to set the tone, as the Senator said, for the future of Florida, future of America, in terms of continuing to be the world, not just the U.S. leader, but the world leader when it comes to space. So once again, thank you on behalf of everybody in the higher education community for what you've done. You're setting the stage for the future of a lot of young people who really want to be here. They want to work in this industry, and they can see the future bright as could be. Thank you.
I want to thank, on behalf of the Economic Development Commission and the business community from the Space Coast, the work that Senator Moody and her staff and the co-sponsors of this piece of legislation is doing for the Space Coast and for the country to keep the leadership of the U.S. in the space industry. We really appreciate that. This act will unlock new funding sources, not only for Spaceport, but also throughout the ecosystem for in the space industry, from manufacturing, from integration, for even launch infrastructure. But most importantly for us, it will keep the leadership of the Space Coast and Florida and the world in attractive investment, private investment to the area, and helping further the mission of the space program as a country, and keep leading that when other countries around the world are trying to obviously capture that leadership from the U.S. One of the remarkable things of this piece of this geography is that the Space Coast has a distinguished place in history. Obviously, we were part of that original space race, but we also now have a bright future with this piece of legislation. So, again, Senator Moody, we want to thank you on behalf of the business community of the Space Coast for all that work and for how you arrived as 99 Senator right away working hard for delivering resources for our community and for our state of Florida. Thank you.
I'm Greg Autry, and I have the honor to be, as Rob mentioned, the space czar of the University of Central Florida. I've studied the commercial space industry for longer than any management scholar than I'm aware of in the world, and I did most of that from California. And Rob and his predecessor Frank over there know that I spent a lot of time coming out to Florida because Florida cared and Florida was doing it right. You know, California had a vibrant space industry, which they chased away, and then they developed a new entrepreneurial space industry, which they're in the process of kind of chasing away. But for me, it was always remarkable to see what Space Florida was doing out here and what the support of their politicians, and that's bipartisan. but the politicians here in Florida actually cared about space. If I tried to get a meeting with a senator from California or even their staff as a professor at University of Southern California to talk about space, it was not going to happen because they did not care. But I could get a meeting with Rubio's staff, or frankly, I could get a meeting with Ted Cruz's staff. But Florida was always leading the way, and that's not going to be good for just Florida, what you see happening here. We're going to bring in private capital that, as noted, is going to be good for the rest of the country, whether they like it or not. But what will be amazing is it's going to be good for the world. So I've kind of raised in the Star Trek generation, and for me it's so important that the American values of individual dignity and liberty are what we carry to the stars. And we have to succeed here because we are in that space race. And the outcome of that space race isn't just our pride, it is the future of the human race. And I don't want to see Xi Jinping thought is what our species carries to the stars. So I want to thank the Senator so much. This is so important. We're going to see private capital roll in here and to spaceports elsewhere. And, you know, bless states like Texas that copy Florida. They've got a space commission now. That's a good thing. But you guys keep leading the way. And thank you so much, Senator.
Well, you can feel the energy in this room, not just from those up here, but from those from the community that have worked here, that live here. This is going to do great things, not just for the state, but for this local community. So I'm proud to be here and celebrate with you today and for our nation. Congratulations, America. We are on the right path in so many ways, so many ways. And this is just another example of how America will continue to be the greatest nation on earth. Because we will not only do it within the realm of our nation or this globe, we will do it in the stars. And I am proud to have been a very, very small part of that. So it's no surprise that you see a lot of Florida leadership and ideas and blueprints and examples being adopted by this administration, moving to Washington to be a part of this renewal and resurgence of America being first in so many things. And today is just another example of that. We would be happy to take any questions anyone might have. Do it. What you got?
Yeah, I think when you look at any of the infrastructure projects that we either have done in the past or going forward are going to be potentially will benefit from this, from lowering the cost of capital to go do those projects. So whether it's put in new roads, new bridges, all those types of activities could all potentially qualify and allow for the market to help us do that in a much more efficient way.
I think that's a great question. As you know, we're trying so very hard to be more efficient and cognizant of where we're spending taxpayer money. Anytime that we can bring in program to allow for private investment and use our laws in a way to do that and accommodate for that, that's going to be a great thing. And so we're excited about that. All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks.
If we just track this one storm, move it out 14 miles per next probably a half hour or so is when we're going to be seeing this storm continuing to move. So what we can see again, here's just that squall track, tracking this little storm again, moving about 14 miles per hour just off to the east-northeast. So if you live in Forest Lake,